What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Monday, Dow drops, U.S. economy worries, Japanese stocks suffer the worst crash since 1987 with a strong bounce back on Tuesday. And then we're going to get into what Vivek says about Kamala Harris's pick for VP. Then we're dropping into Byron Donalds, and then we're going to finish it up with Jesse Waters. Those of you that are joining me on the live stream, truly appreciate it. Let me know where you're coming from. Drop a comment, hit the like button. It does help the YouTube algorithm. The scary Monday that started with a plunge across the stock market, the worst crash since 1987. S&P 500 dropped 3% for its worst day in nearly 2 years. Dow industry average yield by 1,033 points or 2.6%, while NASDAQ slid 3.4% as Apple, NVIDIA, and other big tech companies that used to be stars in the stock market also wilted. The drops were the latest in global sell-offs that began last week, starting with Japan's Nikkei 225, helped begin Monday's plunge at 12.4% for the worst day since 1987. We're going to drop into what President Joe Biden had to say about this situation. Here he is right here.
Over $200 billion.
This is a joke. It's a meme. He did say that, but it wasn't in regards to the stock market crash. But where has he been? I don't know. We're going to jump into what Vivek had to say about Kamala Harris's first presidential style decision since she's been nominated as Democratic nominee. Let's jump in.
This race, Vivek?
The reality is, to be totally frank, the last few weeks have not been our best, Jesse. This gives us the reset that we needed. This is a gift from on high from the Democratic Party. It is also a lens into how Kamala Harris will govern. Unlike a lot of other people, I don't think Kamala Harris is particularly ideological. I don't think she has far left ideology. I don't think she has any ideology. But it shows how she's going to buckle to pressure, because this was the first presidential style decision that she had before her. Do you want a governing agenda of a centrist who I disagree with on a lot of things, but Josh Shapiro, or do you want to buckle to the cave of pressure from the radical left? She made the choice. And so I think this is our best lens to see how she's actually going to govern. The reality is the vice president is far less relevant. He's not going to be the one setting policy. The reason I actually find this decision fascinating is it gives us a lens into the way Kamala Harris makes decisions. And the reality is she buckles to the person who ultimately puts the most pressure on her. That's what we learned today. This is a gift. It resets the race. And I think we are on path back, yes, once again, to a victory, because Pennsylvania could back again be in play for Republicans.
Yeah, you're right. Shapiro definitely was going to help with Pennsylvania. He doesn't help anywhere. They say he helps with the Midwestern white man. Are they going to buy this guy that wants to give boys tampons in fourth grade?
The reality is this is a guy they're pitching in completely the wrong way as some type of Midwestern unifier. First of all, you can't be the unifier while also leading the charge on calling 70+ million Americans weird in his term. And the reality is we have a much stronger case in return if we want to play that game. Boys versus girls, can't define the difference. Boys competing with girls in women's sports competitions, even taking away your gas stoves. He's actually been one of the greatest climate alarmist governors in the United States on the left or the right. So if we wanted to level that charge in return, we have a stronger case. But the reality is he can't be a unifier, but also somebody who's alienating 70+ million Americans as just plain weird, as he calls it. The other thing is it's just one Potemkin village of identity politics, Jesse. The Democrats, it's almost as they don't look at the actual content of the candidates they put up. They realized it had to be a black woman in the vice presidency, now the presidency. That's exactly the reason Kamala got her job. But having checked that box, now they need to revert the other direction,
right? Which
is a Midwestern, folksy white guy of a regular type. And the reality is when they stop giving positions out on the basis of merit and start using these group quotas in either direction, they end up with the worst of all worlds. And that's what this ticket represents.
The Minneapolis riots, that's going to be front and center in this campaign. It's going to be about the economy. But remember in that summer what happened? He let that city burn. He let it burn and then blamed America for the fact that it burned. Why would she pick someone like that on the ticket? Why?
Well, the fact of the matter is she wasn't making a sound decision, but there's 3 issues that matter in this election, Jesse. Immigration, economy, crime. On economy, he raised taxes, shows you what he thinks about economic growth. On immigration, he wants to build a ladder over the border wall and give free health care and taxpayer-funded subsidies to migrants. And on crime, that's really where the George Floyd riots come in. This is not turning America into St. Paul or Minneapolis. That's what they want to do. We say no. We have a clear choice to do it in the ballot box in November. And I think this is now our race to lose. Let's step up, focus on our agenda. And if we do, we win this thing once again.
You're right about the Democrat machine. They have decided to run crazy San Francisco and burning Minneapolis against Donald Trump. And that is just, that's not going to work out. I don't think it's going to work out. We'll wait and see, but that's just crazy.
Have you guys read up on anything about Mr. Tim? I was pulling up some research today, and I was very surprised by the policies that he initiated in Minneapolis. There was a previous video that I think it's on the channel. It should be on the channel now, but I had mentioned some of the situations that he initiated in Minneapolis. But I want to jump into what Byron Donald has to say. Let me get your guys' thoughts on this too.
I don't think that's the shiniest object at all. I had no idea who Tim Walz was either, and I'm in politics. I do this for a living. Look, I think it didn't matter if it was him or Tim Kaine. I know people don't remember that name. That was Hillary's vice presidential nominee. He was dull and boring too. So it doesn't really matter whether you're a shiny object or not. What matters is what are your policy positions? And I want to tell the American people very clearly, Harris.
I want you guys to listen to this because I did watch a little bit of this clip. I want you guys to listen to this because Byron makes a really good point here.
Walls are not going to fix inflation. They're not going to fix our economy. They will not fix the southern border. And let's be very clear with what's going on internationally right now. Do you really expect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to bring peace to the Middle East and the world? I don't think so. There's only one person who can do that, and that's Donald J. Trump.
Facts or what are the millennials saying? Facts or clap? I don't know what the millennials are saying, but I did my research today a little bit on Tim Walz. This is what Jesse Waters has to say about Tim.
Created a It took just 5 minutes for us to find out Kamala's VP, Tim Walz, is Ilhan Omar in a suit, an ill-fitting suit at that. Do your own research. He's a child sex change surgery fanatic who put tampons in boys' bathrooms, hates Columbus, created a COVID snitch line, and allows gay erotica in school libraries. He's a socialist riddled with white guilt and took it out on Minneapolis, even rolling the windows down to smell the burning rubber during the summer of love. But Nancy Pelosi says her pal Walz is normal.
Tim Walz is wonderful. To characterize him as left is so unreal. It's just not what the question. He's right down the middle. He's a heartland of America Democrat.
Why isn't Nancy proud that he's liberal? What's wrong with being liberal? The media, instead of doing their jobs, just repeated what Democrats told them. Watch this.
Walz appears to fit the all-American definition of a man from middle America. High school teacher, football coach, member of the Army National Guard.
He has this folksy, personal, informal vibe. A lot of people have noticed this sort of down-to-earth, likable quality to him.
He's quirky. He's funny. He's clearly qualified for this job. That authenticity, you can't make that up. That is who you are.
You actually can make that up. Democrats do it all the time. We call it the bait and switch. They did it with Biden, told us he's a moderate, then he broke the border and the bank. Then they told us he was sharp when they knew he was cooked. Then they switcherooed him for Kamala, even more left, even more deceptive. Now they say Kamala's not the border czar, not liberal, but we won't interview her. Just trust us. Democrats don't even know who they're voting for, or maybe they do, and they just don't care. We sent Johnny to the Kamala Walz rally in Philly. Watch.
Who's excited for Tim Walz?
Yeah, who isn't? He's a Midwest princess. I love Tim Walz.
I'm liking him. He's kind of new to my radar screen.
Why do we like him? Because he's likable, and because if we want to call a spade, he's non-threatening.
I don't know too much about him except what I read this morning.
Tim Walz is giving illegal immigrants driver's licenses.
Giving illegal immigrants driver's license.
What do you guys think about that? He did give, he passed a bill to give illegal immigrants driver's license.
I personally
health
have not
insurance.
heard about that.
I also don't necessarily believe that a person is illegal.
Quite frankly, if you're not Native American, you're an immigrant anyway.
Illegal elements, driver's license. No, that's not a good thing.
He's putting tampons in little boys' bathrooms.
Get out of here. I am going to do my research on him. That don't sound good at all.
Yeah, do your guys' research. Seriously. Do your research. Here's another one.
Very well. Kamala Harris may not have much foreign policy experience, but her new running mate, Tim Walz, is very, and I mean very well traveled. He's been to China more than 30 times and doesn't think they're our biggest rival.
I lived in China, and as I said, I've been there about 30 times, but if someone tells you they're an expert on China, they're probably not telling you the truth because it's a complex country, but it's critically important for us. I don't fall into the category that China necessarily needs to be an adversarial relationship. I totally disagree.
Walz first went to China in 1989 to teach English and fell in love with the country, telling a local paper, no matter how long I live, I will never be treated that well again. They gave me more gifts than I could bring home. Sounds like Newsom. Remember when he was going around admiring the cranes? In fact, he loved China so much that he and his wife got married on the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre and then honeymooned there in the 90s. He later set up a program to take high school kids to China every summer for nearly a decade. And according to local reporting at the time, the Chinese government paid for it. And while they were abroad, Walz told his students to downplay their Americanness.
Why would he do that? I don't know. Guys, drop in the comments. Why would somebody do that? I'm not sure.
If he becomes vice president, what does that mean for America?
Tim Walz is a guy who wants to ship more and more American manufacturing jobs to China. He said it on camera in the name of the green energy scam. Well, if you care about the environment, and I certainly do, why are you going to ship American manufacturing jobs to the dirtiest economy in the world? Why wouldn't you keep them right here?
In back-to-back elections, Democrats have put guys with deep ties to the Chinese on the ticket. What's that about? Polaris national security founder and former State Department spokesperson, Morgan Ortagus. Okay, 30 times to China, and then you honeymoon there? Morgan, what's that about?
The honeymoon is definitely weird, a word that the governor likes to use. But what's even weirder is the fact that you have the Chinese Communist Party paying for young students, as you mentioned, at least 10 years, maybe 11 years, to visit China. What is the purpose of this indoctrination? The purpose of this, the Chinese Communist Party, Jesse, is very smart. In fact, in February of 2020, then Secretary of State Mike Pompeo gave a speech to governors, Republican and Democrat governors around the country, and warned them and said this is the type of thing that the Chinese Communist Party will try to do. They will try to infiltrate. They will create Confucius centers in school. They will try to do these people-to-people exchanges. And it's all about covering up for the fact that the government is run by a bunch of communists who have an ongoing genocide, communists who are spying against the United States. We saw the spy balloon that traversed. And importantly, communists who knowingly and willingly send the precursors of fentanyl to the United States, the #1 killer of young people in our country, and the government knows about it.
Is Walz dim? Did he not realize he was being used by the Chinese Communist Party? Or does he just like to travel there?
Yeah. He was certainly either wittingly or unwittingly co-opted, in my opinion, by the government very early on. Again, this is a pattern. They want to take mayors, they want to take local elected officials early in their career to China to sort of whitewash over their many sins and many atrocities. You know, what doesn't make sense to me is, according to the reports I read today, he also taught a class, a Chinese Communist Party approved class in China in 1989 when Tiananmen Square had happened. So he had to see a lot of the evils of the Chinese government firsthand. I should know, Jesse, his beliefs on China, him wanting to engage economically and diplomatically with China are well out of the mainstream of Republicans and Democrats. President Trump changed the consensus, the foreign policy consensus in Washington, D.C. for both parties. He changed it when he came down the stairs in 2015 and started reminding everybody what a threat China was. And so the governor's views are so far out of the mainstream. He and Kamala Harris have to answer, what is their China policy going to be? Because this is a stark reversal from Trump and Biden.
I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%.
Is incredibly left-wing. That is the weakest answer from Nancy Pelosi. The reason why she had to pause is because she knows that Tim Walz is a radical progressive. Look, Tim Walz agrees with Nancy Pelosi. He agrees, obviously, with Kamala Harris that what we must have in our country are massively open borders. Tim Walz signed into law driver's licenses for illegal immigrants in Minnesota. He wanted health care for illegal immigrants in Minnesota. This guy is incredibly left-wing.
What do you guys think about those two things that were admitted? The driver's license and the insurance. Drop your comments in the comments section. I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that. I'm going to dive in a little bit more to Tim Walz. I'd like to see both Kamala Harris and Tim in an open forum where they're speaking to the media about their existing, what policies that they want to implement regarding inflation in the U.S. economy and how they plan to fix it. I'm looking at particular facts and plans, not necessarily going off of racial biases and performances from individuals. As of now, I personally have not seen any policies that will be implemented if Kamala Harris, for Kamala Harris and Tim now, but for Kamala Harris specifically, I haven't seen any policies. If you guys have, please share them with me in the comments. Drop them, let me know. I'll check them out because I want to give this. I haven't seen anything, so I want to give it a fair shake. But right now, in regards of what Donald Trump can do for the economy and what he plans to do the economy, that's where I'm leaning. Let me know where you guys are leaning. Drop your comments down below. Don't forget to hit the like on this video. Other than that, guys, I will catch you.